For the second straight day, Arnold Palmer, at 86 years young, was on site at Bay Hill Club and Lodge. Mr. Palmer spent his morning making news in regards to the Masters and most of his time after that on the range, greeting players and watching them hit shots. Also on the range Tuesday for a significant amount of time, world number 3 Jason Day. You'll hear from the reigning PGA champion and his thoughts on whether world number 1 Jordan Spieth is spreading himself too thin. It's all coming up right now on Golf Central.
Golf Central, brought to you by Titleist.
Ian Poulter winless on the PGA Tour since the 2012 HSBC champions, getting in some late work on Tuesday. Poulter is making his 11th start in this week's tournament at Bay Hill. For the 8th consecutive year, we welcome you to our home away from home, just down the street from our Worldwide Golf Channel headquarters for the 38th edition of the Arnold Palmer Invitational presented by MasterCard. A perfect perch for any golf lover right between the driving range and putting green. And with that, we welcome you in. Lisa Cornwell, Nota Begay III, Mark Rolfing. We're excited to be with you for the next 60 minutes here on Golf Channel and Golf Central. We'll hear from these gentlemen in just a moment. But first, let's send it over to George Savaricas, who is with Tim Rosafort for some breaking news that happened earlier today on Morning Drive.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm joined by Golf Channel insider Tim Rosafort. Rosie, you broke the news regarding the King, Arnold Palmer's annual ceremonial first tee shot at the Masters. It's going to be a bit of a different field this year at Augusta.
Certainly will be, George. I went into Mr. Palmer's office last night, and he told me that he'd just gotten off the phone with a phone call to Augusta National Chairman William Payne to tell him that he would not be able to serve his role as an honorary starter this year at the Masters tournament. He will, though, however, George, be going up to Augusta, taking part in the Champions Dinner, and don't be too surprised if he is on that tee at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday before the opening round with Jack Nicklaus and Gary Player, as he was last year, just without a golf club this time.
And so far this week, before the start of the Arnold Palmer Invitation, we've seen a lot of him cruising around the grounds at Bay Hill, at least Monday and Tuesday. How visible is he going to be the rest of the week?
Not as visible as he has been in the past, but it's important for him to remain the face of the golf tournament. I know last night after we met, he went down to a meet and greet with the MasterCard folks. They're going to up their sponsorship. It's going to be announced tomorrow. And he's also going to do the same thing with Hertz. As his grandson, though, Sam Saunders, told me today, he's feeling his age, unfortunately, but he's tough. Nobody's tougher than him. He's definitely feeling the effect of his age, but at the same time, you can see how much the adrenaline's flowing through him, how much better he's doing this week with the golf tournament in town, his golf tournament.
It's amazing to see the crowds and galleries still gravitating towards him when they get a little glint or a peek of Arnold Palmer. Here was a statement released today by the chairman of Augusta National, Billy Payne. It was released earlier on Tuesday. It says in part, I spoke with Arnold yesterday, and we certainly understand his decision. Makes no difference whether he hits a drive. He's a true legend in golf and will be welcomed as usual on the first tee with the other Masters honorary starters. It will be a great day. Lisa?
George, Rosie, thank you very much. Obviously, this question is for both of you all. But, Mark, I want to start with you. Will more be made out of this than it should be?
Boy, I sure hope not. It was interesting, Lisa. I had a chance to spend a little time with Arnold today. Just he and I had a really nice talk, and I'm sure it was a tough decision for him. It was a sad one, but he is 86 years old. It's not the easiest tee shot in the world, and whether or not he actually hits the drive, I don't think matters, and I hope we don't make too big a deal about it.
Yeah, and Mark, and one of the things that I heard as I was working the range today, just talking to players, visiting with them, is number one is their concern for Arnold and his health, but number two, for their appreciation for everything that he's done in this game to set a platform for what so many of these young players are experiencing. Maverick McNeely, Bryson DeChambeau, Thomas Peters are all playing here for the first time, and they understand truly what he gave to the game. And whether or not he hits a tee shot at Augusta National, I think is irrelevant. We all understand and appreciate the things that the King did for all of us.
I think most of us are just hoping to be around at 86. He's out here driving a cart and talking to players, looking great. So it's always nice to see him. Thank you all very much. We'll have much more on the ceremonial tee shot at Augusta National and what it has meant to the tournament over the years a little later in the show. But right now, we want to say hello for the first time tonight to Todd Lewis, who has new insight on the reigning Masters champ and world number 1, Jordan Spieth.
Well, Lisa, a year ago, we were talking about Jordan Spieth's second PGA Tour victory coming at the Valspar Championship. And, of course, that victory propelled him to one of the most memorable seasons in PGA Tour history, 2 major championships and the FedEx Cup. But with great success comes a great spotlight, and Jordan admits sometimes he's uncomfortable under that spotlight. Today, the Associated Press released a story addressing Jordan's fame, and the interview took place at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am last month. Jordan said in that story, quote, "Things have changed. I still find myself struggling with what's the right thing to do. Oftentimes, I come off the course and I hit it poorly that day, and it's a frustrating feeling trying to look for answers, knowing you need to go to work on it, and then you've got all the people asking for something, and if you don't do it, they give you a bad rap. On the other side, how great is it to have fans? How great is it to be able to influence people in a positive way? Why wouldn't you want to flip that switch? I'm trying to do a better job this year of putting a smile on my face and showing who I think I really am. I have a light sense of humor. A lot of times on the golf course, I'm intense. I'm trying to flip the switch more while remaining as competitive as possible." Now, the story caught the attention of many media members here at Bay Hill, and those media members went to Jason Day, who, like Jordan Spieth, had a memorable 2015, and they asked Day about Jordan's life in a fishbowl.
I'm worried about him because I don't know if he's playing too much and he's doing too many things with golf and sponsor obligations that he may get burnt out and go through a rut where he just doesn't want to be on the golf course for a while. And it goes through everyone goes through that. I've told a few people on my team that I'm kind of worried about him because of what he's kind of putting himself under right now, because he has played a lot of golf, especially over the last few years. I mean, you can only look at his world ranking divisor and how many events he's played over the last few years, and you can see that he's kind of wearing himself out. So that part of it has a huge part to it, but there's just so much. Once again, there's just so much people want. It's the timing issue is just hard because everyone wants a piece of you, and there's not enough. I wish you could multiply yourself because there's not enough of us around to really kind of do it.
Of course, Jordan Spieth went from, in a year's time, a very good player to now the world's best player. He's trying to find the rhythm of playing golf at the level he's playing it at, and also addressing the requests by media members and fans, and trying to do so in a fun way. And Lisa, given that he is wise beyond his 22 years on the planet, you think he's going to find that rhythm pretty easily?
You certainly do think so, Todd. Thank you very much. Well, if private planes have frequent flyer programs, Jordan Spieth would be racking up a ton of miles. Since the 2015 PGA Championship, he's been all over the globe, 15 events in 7 countries, earning 2 wins and 7 top 10s in all. So what does the future hold for the 22-year-old? A busy schedule for sure. But good news for him. Through May, every event he's playing so far is in the United States. Here's how his proposed schedule looks. Maybe right now a bit conservative. That could all change, though. First, the WGC Dell Match Play Championship, where obviously if you keep winning, it becomes a long week. It's all leading up to his first major championship title defense at Augusta National. The summer months aren't quite as back-to-back for Spieth, but he will have some international stops on the schedule. Of course, the Open in mid-July and the Summer Games in Rio. So he is going to be busy. Fellas, Noda, you have spent a lot of time with a certain young man who has spent a lot of time at #1 in the world, that being Tiger Woods. How do you balance it, and how do you learn to balance it, and how does it change over the years?
Well, I think we have to put this whole thing in context, in the sense that Jordan Spieth isn't the first player or the only player to ever have to deal with something like this. You saw Tiger break out in '97, win the Masters, 18 under, 12-shot victory. Then in 1998, he comes back and has a substandard performance. He had 4 wins in '97, only had 1 win in 1998. Ricky Fowler, 2014, has top 5s in all 4 major championships. The next year doesn't even record a top 10. Henrik Stenson wins 2 of the last 4 playoff events, wins the FedEx Cup. The following year doesn't even qualify for the Tour Championship and finishes 52nd in the final FedEx Cup rankings. And I talked to Henrik Stenson after that because he had so much success toward the end of the year, but he still had sponsor obligations that he followed through on. He went and played his obligations to events in Asia, and he said it took him an entire year almost to recover from that travel and from all of the attention that he was given because of what he had done on the golf course. Now, Jordan is only 22 years old. We think of him as a mature person. We think of him as somebody that is well beyond his years as how he responds and reflects on the things that he's done in the game. But at the end of the day, he still has to learn how to do some things, and he has to learn how to say no, and he has to come to the understanding that he is going to disappoint some people along the way. And that's just the reality of it. We all only have 24 hours in a day. How we spend them is up to us, and right now I think him and his team are hopefully recalibrating and trying to figure out how to give him the best shot to win these big tournaments.
I'm going to agree with that, but I'm also going to blame the system. I mean, I think you can point at the individual and say he's trying to do too much and he needs to learn how to say no, but I still believe that golf needs an off season. There is no coincidence that the NFL has an off season, baseball has an off season, the NBA has an off season. Not only do they want to give the fans a chance to recharge and have some pent-up demand for the product again, but they need to let the players heal. They need to let their bodies heal. They need to let their minds heal. And with no off season in golf, I think the players are tired, and I don't think this is going to be the last time we see a case like this. I think golf needs to create some kind of an off season. We just don't have it. Even if it's a 3-week or 4-week stretch, there needs to be some downtime.
I don't think you'd hear any complaints from the media either. A little extra off time, not bad. For more on this topic, let's go back over to George.
All righty, Lisa with Rosie once again, and we're joined by Golf World Editor-in-Chief Jaime Diaz. Guys, we saw the schedule, the World Tour, basically, that Jordan Spieth has been playing since last fall. Do you think he's being stretched too thin? What do you think of the comments that were made?
I think it may be a slightly marginal thing that he got off to a little bit of a bad start, didn't totally get his rest, didn't get into his routine. But, you know, I think basically it's a combination of a lot of things. I mean, I think winning by 8 strokes at Hawaii, as he's mentioned many times, sort of put these expectations on himself, and it's sort of, you know, raised his expectations and lowered his patience level because he's feeling like it should happen more often. So I think there's some of that going on, and I think, you know, the travel, I think Jordan says yes a lot, which is very nice for us in the media, but he probably should start saying no a little bit more.
And I'm seeing Rory say no a little bit more, too. I think as they become more famous, and in this day and age with social media, using the media to their advantage, they become rock stars. And the byproduct of that is that there are more layers to go through now. It's not like the old days when Jack and Arnold could do the scrums after news conferences. There's more demands as a professional to talk after rounds, to talk before tournaments, and that plus chasing appearance fees all over the world, quite honestly. They have, you know, there's a downside to those. But the thing that we like about Spieth, a characteristic of his, Jaime, seemingly, is that he's always been able to self-correct.
Yes.
And this is kind of in this one little phase, as small as it is, but by missing the cut at Riviera and an opening with that 76 last week, and then not being able to close on Sunday, with 3 weeks to go before Augusta, there are some question marks about this kid that could do no wrong last year.
Well, I think, you know, he had a slightly similar sort of internal crisis in 2014 when he was having a hard time closing. And he kind of figured it out, that, you know, he just needed more patience. And honestly, I think that's the magic word this time. And I think 3 weeks is plenty of time. If he just, you know, gets alone, thinks about it, and he's so great at figuring it out on the course, and I think in life also.
Do you think he supersized expectations so much last year that we all got spoiled with what he was able to do at a young age, that we as golf fans and members of the media should rein in our expectations, or at least have a little more patience with what we see?
Well, he follows Tiger, which is awfully difficult. You know, Tiger didn't have these kind of moments very often, and, you know, he spoiled us. And Jordan spoiled us a little last year, but I don't think we should equate him to Tiger. Tiger was otherworldly, and no one's been in that class since.
Yeah, otherworldly, a very apt description for what we saw out of Tiger Woods. Thanks, guys. Let's send it over to Lisa.
Jason Day's been #1 in the world, so he knows the demands that come with it. Coming up, Day talks about his own game and his expectations for this week. And amateur Bryson DeChambeau hasn't yet reached the level of fame of Spieth, Day, or McIlroy, but he is a rising star in the game of golf. You'll hear from this 22-year-old later on Golf Central.